My dear guests, I'm your host, Dr. Dewey Stevens. Welcome to my fantasy kitchen island. Oh, wrong show? Cut. Wardrobe. Sorry about that. Take two. And welcome to Cooking with Dr. Dewey Stevens. Today we're doing a special episode on chili verde, one of my favorites. And I've got some of the ingredients laid out here. I'll talk through right quick. But I think a few of the key ingredients are obviously the pork. Typically you use a pork butt or pork shoulder, not the butt, the shoulder. This is a boneless roast. You could totally go with a bone-in roast. It's just a matter of how much butchering you want to do. We are going to dice these into pieces that we're going to saute first or brown before we start cooking them. But cutting the bone out is a little labor intensive, and if you're lazy, then you can skip that. Also, the bone roasts, the blade roasts, as they're usually labeled, are usually larger, and we're not going to do a big pot today. We're just going to do sort of a regular sized pot. So I went with the boneless. It's a lot smaller, so I've got that in place. Also, the stock. If you've watched any of my other episodes, you know that I really do recommend a homemade stock. It just brings a lot more flavor to your dish, and if you have the time or opportunity, make sure you have some stock at home. Highly recommend it. If you don't, if you just have store-bought, that's totally fine, it'll work. We're gonna add a lot of other seasoning and flavor layers, as I like to call them, to our dish today. Also, the greens, as I like to say, it's chili verde for a reason, right? Verde means green in Espanol. And so we've got a few different green ingredients here. Number one are the tomatillos. This is really what makes the sauce a verde sauce. If you don't know what tomatillos are, they're sort of like green tomatoes, for lack of a better term. They come in this little husk, which you very easily just peel off. Lots of times they have sort of a sticky residue on the inside. Once you get them off, it's just sort of a natural insect repellent, if you will. We're just going to give these a quick rinse, and then we're going to roast them along with everything else. So that aside. Also some heat that we're going to bring to the dish. I always use poblanos. They're a little large and they offer a lot of flavor. Also, they're not too spicy, so if you are spice averse, or heat averse I shall say, these are a nice way of bringing a little bit of heat to the dish, but not so much it'll burn your face off. I, on the other hand, do enjoy a lot of heat, so I'm bringing also a jalapeno and a serrano. Depending on how much you make for this size roast, which is approximately 3.5 pounds, I usually don't go more than 3 or 4 peppers here. 2 poblanos and then 2 more spicy peppers. You could certainly do more. You could do both jalapenos, you could do both serranos, you could do 2 more if you want really extra heat. But this is a pretty good amount of spice without making it too crazy. And then also some cilantro. We're gonna mix that up in our verde sauce, and those are our key ingredients. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started on preparing all this for our dish, and we'll be back in just a moment. Thanks. one of the important parts is to roast your greens. Preheated the oven, 450 degrees. The tomatillos will go probably 45 minutes to an hour, depending. The peppers may be close to that, but we'll check on them here and there. The other two, I think, key ingredients are cumin and Mexican oregano. So in my episodes, you know that this is like my favorite. Actually, these two are really some of my favorite seasonings. So we're gonna add this to the sauce as well. While these are roasting, it's gonna give us an opportunity to let the meat come to room temperature so we can start giving that a nice browning, and then we'll start to saute the onions, and then we'll start to layer in all the good flavors. And stick with me, and we'll be right back. I have just pulled our tomatillos and peppers out of the oven. As you can see, they look a bit a mess, and that is fine. That is actually what we're going for. These probably cooked a little bit too long, but we want them to have popped and brown. When you're roasting these, make sure that you do use a pan like this, because the juices will come out, and we want to make sure that we are able to preserve them. So what we're also going to do is take our peppers and come over here. A lot of techniques will call for putting these in a plastic bag or something like that. As you know, I typically use a lot of plastic bags in the show, but the trick is just really make sure that you cover them so they have a chance to steam. So what I like to do is put them on a bowl on a dish like this, and then just cover them in the bowl. So give them a good opportunity to keep all the steam in there, and that will allow us to allow the skins to come off easily later on. Give them a chance to cool, give them a chance to steam, and when they're done, we can handle them and peel all of the skin off. While we're waiting for that, we're going to brown the meat, and I'm going to go ahead and get these off of here and into our food processor. Just do your best to keep all the juices. They will try to run all over. That is part of what brings a lot of the flavor to the verde sauce. All right. Okay, we've got a nice cast iron Dutch oven to medium heat. Probably go a little bit higher. Add some vegetable oil. You've got canola oil that works. I really wouldn't use olive oil for this because of the high heat, but maybe use what you've got. So we want to brown it. We're not ready to stew it yet. So I'm going to do this in small batches, giving each piece an opportunity to brown on its own, not commingling and touching its little pork friends. So. Also gives us a nice opportunity to salt and pepper them. Okay, while that last batch is cooking, we're going to go ahead and start to assemble our salsa. You remember I've already got the roasted tomatillos in there. I'm going to start peeling my peppers. If you did this right, and I don't always do, The skin should be fairly easy to pull off. Sometimes they can stick a little bit, and if you leave a little bit behind, that's okay. Just do your best to get all the skins off. Also, what you want to do is try and take the kind of cute little part right there, take the stem out, all the seeds. You don't want to eat that part, and do your best to kind of just scrape all the seed, the ribbing out. I'm just going to cut more or less a lot of just the stem off, leaving a lot of stem intact. Give this a rough chop, and then just dump it. I try to use all fresh ingredients when I'm making these kinds of things, although I do sometimes use canned ingredients. So none of those canned tomatillos. I couldn't find enough fresh ones, so I have some cans too. I'm gonna use a little bit of both. And actually, it kind of gives it a nice, I don't know what the deal is. If you've ever made salsa, when I make salsa, I usually will use some fresh ingredients and some canned ingredients, and the combination of the two kind of lends a good balance of flavor and texture. So I'm gonna toss this in here, water and all, tomatillos and all. Also, some mild green chilies. Again, a little flavor, balance. Toss that in there too. And the secret ingredient, yes, tomatillo green salsa. This gives a little starter kick kind of thing. Add that as well in there. Let's go ahead and give it a little taste. It's nice and chunky, a little saucy. Dare I say perfect. It's a little bit of tang, a little bit of heat. Oh, that's good. Okay, so that is ready. I'm gonna set this aside. When we're ready for the sauce. Now, since the meat has been browned and is rested, we're gonna start to saute the onions, garlic, and bring it all together. It's probably still hot. I'm just gonna go ahead and add my onions. Lots of good oil still down in here, and a lot of the fat that's rendered from the pork. Welcome back, everyone. It's been about 3 hours. It's been simmering on low. We're gonna go ahead and take it off here and take a peek at it. Still simmering nicely. Still a little bit soupy, but I think I mentioned earlier that one of the tricks I like to do, if you've had chili verde before, you usually notice it's these chunks of very tender pork in a green sauce. What I like to do is break them apart more. You've probably heard the term fork tender. You take a fork, you kind of just push this through easily, you know it's done. But what I really like to do is take it, see here, up above you kind of push it against the side and just kind of mash it a little bit, and it will kind of shred a little bit. And so I like to do that to a lot of the pieces, kind of push it up against the side, shred it. It makes for a thicker consistency, I think. And I like to have shred. I don't like to have big chunks of it. I like to have little shreds of it. Just because I like how that mixes with, like, I'm gonna make a rice. So I like how it, pouring it over a rice, that consistency. And then also it makes for good leftovers when it's shredded like that. I'm gonna make some. One of my favorites is to make a chili verde omelet. So if it's got the sauce and nice shreds of pork, makes for good leftovers and in other dishes, repurposing. So I want to thank everyone for watching our episode on chili verde today. We'll see you next time.